They took his family and left him with nothing. Homeless and alone, he even considered ending it all. But when some corrupt cops and both the Mafia and Triad target a girl under his protection, he steps back into a life he left behind, and these thugs are about to find out why even the government wanted him buried.
The garbage collector? I never collected garbage. I disposed of it.
Just 1 year ago we meet Mei, a Chinese girl gifted with numbers, who constantly makes her math teacher look like a fool. So much so, that the principal decides to transfer her. His excuse? She is too brilliant for her peers. After school she walks home with her friends. They try to make her feel better about the transfer, promising to write her every day. But Mei's day gets even worse when she is kidnapped by Triad gangsters working under the dragon head Han Jiao. He has heard from his niece, who turns out to be Mei's classmate, as well as her math teacher, that she has the brain of a computer. Mei tries to deny her gift, so Han angrily messes up an abacus nearby, demanding that she fix it or he will hurt her mother, and a scared Mei has no choice but to comply. Impressed, Han promises to take care of her mother, and in return she will go to America with her new father, his subordinate Quan, and do accounting for his businesses. Luke wins his latest fight with a single punch, sending his opponent into a coma. Which was not the plan, as Luke was to throw that fight. Feeling guilty, he confronts his manager,
You should never have been in there with me.
who explains that his opponent was a YouTuber turned boxer. But that's not even the worst part.
It's an internet sensation until you put him in a coma.
A lot of people had bet big money for Luke to lose, including the notorious Russian Mafia. The manager knows they will come after him, unless he could somehow deliver Luke to them as a peace offering. But hearing this, Luke attacks the men. He races home trying to get through to his pregnant wife, but only gets voicemail, and his worst fears are met when he rushes inside and stumbles upon her dead body and Mafia gangsters inside his home, led by the boss's son Vasily. He mocks Luke, expecting a fight since he is a fighter, but Luke goes silent.
You're just going to sit on the floor like a dog.
Luke is expecting to die,
You just killed your wife.
Get it over with.
but that would be too easy for Vasily, since Luke cost his father a lot of money. They want to eliminate everybody close to him, but after running his file they only saw where Luke did sanitation for the city, with no family members on record.
Work for city, garbage collection, sanitation.
Since they could only take his wife from him, they plan to leave Luke alive and eliminate anybody he even talks to, leaving him lonely and broken until he decides to end things himself, a punishment worse than death. If he stays in the home, they will kill his landlady, so this is how Luke became homeless. In the US, Quan meets with corrupt NYPD Chief Wolf, who gives them fake documents for Mei. The job was a costly one, so Wolf wants to renegotiate his cut from the districts the Triads operate in. He wants increases from all areas, but Quan will not be pushed around. He only allows a slight increase in one district, as Wolf should be thankful they aren't gunning down cops in the street. 1 year later, Mei is running numbers for all the Triads' businesses in New York, all from memory. Going over the week's profits, Quan learns that a casino has been losing money.
It's losing money.
So Mei is forced to watch his thugs brutally beat the owner before Quan ends him with a bullet to the head. Later, Mei wonders why beat the poor man if they are going to kill him, but Quan shuts her down. She just doesn't understand business. Luke, now a total bum, goes to spend the night in a homeless shelter. There he encounters a young man with blistered feet, and out of kindness he offers the man his shoes. But this was a big mistake, as the next morning Luke finds the young man dead in his bed, and with no sign of an attacker, Luke is accused and kicked out of the shelter. It is during that night also that Mei finds out that her mother has passed away, and Quan had refused to tell her to keep her obedient. Han soon lands in New York and is greeted by Quan at the airport. He has a job for Mei. She needs to memorize a long string of very important numbers, but Mei locks it in with one glance. Han is impressed, so he burns the paper. Her second task is to meet a man who will give her the second half of the number for her to memorize, but during the journey, the convoy is hit by Russian gangsters, and Mei is kidnapped once more. Luke is walking along the street when some old guy bumps into him, only to realize that his wallet is missing when he goes to buy something. He begins to laugh at his misfortune, but this attracts the attention of Detective Mears. He initially throws Luke out of the store, But it is there that he recognizes Luke. They were part of the same corrupt Special Forces NYPD squad until Luke ratted them out. Mears arranges a meeting with Luke and the rest of the squad under a bridge where they kick him around, even taunting him about his wife's death. They want Luke dead.
We were a team. We were family.
Hey, easy, Ben.
Urging him to take one of their pistols so they can have an excuse to take him out. But Luke isn't ready to go just yet, and he walks away taunting the cops to shoot him in the back. Mei is brought before Russian Mafia boss Emil, Vasily's father, who demands Mei give him Han's numbers, but she refuses. He found out about Mei from the same woman who told her about her mother, who then tries convincing Mei to give up the numbers so they can help her too. But Mei is no fool. She knows they will kill her once they get what they want. Mei refuses to talk, so Vasily shoots the woman dead anyway. Suddenly there's a knock on the door. It's the NYPD, so Mei uses the distraction to slip away. The cops outside are under Wolf's command, who is in turn working for Han, who wants Mei alive if he can, dead if he can't, so Wolf uses the opportunity to negotiate an increase in his cut. Emil then calls Wolf. He's willing to beat any offer the Triads are giving him by 15% if he calls off his men, so Wolf goes back to Quan with this, forcing him to negotiate. Realizing that Mei has something both sides want, the greedy Wolf decides he wants Mei for himself, so he plans with his cops to have Emil drop his guard so they can grab the girl. By the time Emil realizes Mei is missing and sends some men after her, she has already made it onto the street. Wolf tells Emil his men will retreat, but Emil smells the setup and reveals that Mei is gone. He wants to call a truce so his men can grab Mei, threatening that if the Triads find her first, he will regret it. With this, Wolf mobilizes his cops to find Mei while Emil's own men hit the streets. The Triads aren't far behind, as Han threatens to take Quan's head if he doesn't return with Mei. Now a broken Luke is down in the train station standing next to the tracks, really contemplating just ending his misery, but at that moment something catches his attention. A small Chinese girl, followed by Russian gangsters searching for her, the same gangsters who were inside his home. Mei slips onto a train and the gangsters follow her, so without thinking Luke jumps onto the speeding train and climbs to the roof before making it inside. Just as the men are about to catch Mei, Luke appears, brutally beating down the men with his skills. The last gangster can't believe it's the garbage man, but Luke never collected garbage, he disposed of it. He goes to check on Mei,
You alright?
but she is scared of him and runs from the train. He tracks her to the street, where two of Wolf's corrupt detectives stop her, but Luke swiftly beats them down before stealing their car as the Russians show up. Some men catch up to them in a truck and begin shooting at the car, kicking off a high-speed chase. Luke drives against incoming traffic,
Other way! Cars go the other way!
forcing the men to follow, but soon they are taken out by a bus. Another car gets on their tail, so Luke tells Mei to do exactly what he says if she wants to live. They quickly pull into an alley, and when the men follow, Luke ambushes and guns them down. Mei doesn't want to be babied, so Luke tells her to keep up as they escape the scene. Wolf learns that it was Luke Wright who took the girl, but he doesn't even have time to react as the mayor wants to see him right away. Luke uses a credit card he stole from one of the detectives to purchase some clothes and get him and Mei a hotel room, but trouble is on its way as Quan and the Triads have tracked them to the hotel. Mei wonders why Luke saved her, but it was she who saved him. She tells him about her adopted father Quan, but Luke knows Quan isn't the fatherly type. Mei then tells Luke everything, how she was brought to America, the number she memorized, and the Russian attack. She doesn't want to return to Han, as she knows it's just a matter of time before they eliminate her. Luke is interested in the number, and based on Mei's description, he deduces that it's a code, the combination of a safe. At that moment, Quan and the gangsters get to the hotel.
5'11". Brown hair, 30.
The clerk refuses to give him any information about their guests, so Quan pulls a gun on her. Two security guards confront the thugs,
So I can see him.
and the gunfire in the lobby alerts Luke to trouble. Turns out they were tracking Mei from a cell phone they gave to her. Luke quickly has her write down the numbers. They soon exit the room, but encounter gangsters in the hallway and are forced to take the stairs. Outside, the thugs open fire on the responding cops, kicking off an intense gunfight. Luke makes it to the dining hall where the thugs are holding the guests hostage, so Luke launches his attack, sending the room into chaos. The men stand no chance against Luke as he unleashes his skills on them, but during his fight, Mei is grabbed while he is forced to dive through a window to escape gunfire. Luckily, he survives, but he can't get back to Mei as cops start chasing him. Inside, Quan has a plan to escape. He has the hostages rush the front door, then uses the commotion to escape. The cops end up spotting them and gunning down some of his men, but Quan escapes with Mei. Luke manages to lose the cops and steal a car to escape before jumping into a cab. Mei's loss really seems to bother him, but he quickly comes up with a plan. Using a cell phone he took from one of the thugs, Luke calls Vasily, speaking fluent Russian, claiming he has the numbers on a long sheet of paper and needs a location to meet up. Vasily suspects it might be a trap, but he can't pass up the opportunity to impress his father, so he gives up a restaurant where they should meet. Wolf meets with Mayor Tremello about the recent incidents. He thinks Luke is just a washed-up cop and a nobody, but Tremello knows things about Luke nobody else does. After the attacks on September 11th, he personally created a special task force to deal with the uptick in crime, but he couldn't just rely on the experience of local cops, so he called in a favor with the CIA, and a week later they sent him Luke. He was like a one-man army, and things were going well until the NYPD cops got too greedy and Luke ratted them out to IA. If they're to capture Luke, they will need everyone, because once he lets loose, only one man would be able to take him on. He then learns about Mei and the number she has that both the Mafia and Triad want, so he wants the city locked down and Mei found. Quan brings Mei back to Han, who demands to know who the man is and if she gave him the number. Mei claims she didn't tell him anything, but Han doesn't believe her and orders that her mother be eliminated, but Mei swears she said nothing. Quan then calls the man with the second half of the number, who turns out to be Tremello's assistant and also former CIA assassin Alex Rosen. Before getting to the restaurant, Luke stops and hires the services of a hooker as cover to gain entry and scopes out all of Vasily's men. Calm and collected, Luke goes to stand beside one man, before stabbing him in the neck with a fork, then gunning down Vasily's men in a blur. He then drags Vasily to his car and takes off. Not long after, Emil gets the call that his son has been kidnapped.
Kill him and go to hell.
He doesn't care if Vasily dies, but Luke doesn't plan to kill him, just barely keep him alive so he can tell everything about Emil's operations, which the Triads are sure to be interested in.
What do you want?
Hearing all this, Emil concedes. Luke demands to know what's in the safe, and learns it's all of $30 million. As for the second set of numbers, those are the combination to another safe containing something worth $30 million. If Emil wants to see his son again, he will give up the location of the safe. Emil senses that he is working alone, as an army is needed to get near the safe, but Luke isn't fazed. Vasily suspects that Luke could have killed them the day they ended his wife, but Luke thinks instead of talking he should be praying. Quan is headed to meet with Alex under a bridge to make the exchange. Meanwhile, Luke calls up his former corrupt NYPD colleagues, including Wolf, who are not pleased seeing him. Before they get down to business, they have brought what he has requested, which turns out to be a sandwich, and Luke has them stand and watch as he eats.
Anyone got a light?
He then asks for a light, and without warning, burns the paper containing the number, forcing them to keep him alive until they get to the safe. They doubt Luke's story about $30 million just sitting in the busiest area in Chinatown, and question his source until Luke shows them Vasily. There's a deal going down tonight, and Tremello is involved. The detectives think Wolf would be risking his future taking this mission, but even he knows that he needs to secure himself for the event that Tremello is no longer in power. With this, the detectives gear up, arming themselves with heavy weaponry before barging into the location, which turns out to be a packed club. Wolf gets the crowd moving with gunfire, and this kicks off an intense gun battle between the detectives and the Triad gangsters.
Hey, you, settle down!
The shootout leads to the underground casino and gets even more intense, forcing Luke and the detectives to take cover. They slowly push on the gangsters, dropping men left and right, but one of the detectives is shot point blank in the head and killed. The Triads manage to close a security gate guarding the safe, while Luke is pulled into close combat, but he is just too fast for these guys. One detective tries shooting the lock to the gate and ends up blowing his fingers off, so while the others are distracted, Wolf kills him, then blames a gangster lying next to him. Han learns about the raid on his casino by the cops, and suspecting Tremello, he orders Quan to eliminate Alex once the deal is done. Luke and the remaining 3 cops make it to the safe room and blow open the metal doors with explosives. Luke doesn't plan to be killed so easily. He puts down his own gun, warning that he will only open the safe once they're disarmed. They drop their guns to the floor, and Luke begins cracking the safe, but just before he gets to the last number, he swiftly guns down Wolf's 2 detectives while shooting Wolf in the shoulder. He has Wolf then finish the combination and open the safe. Luke and Wolf make it out of the club with cash as more cops arrive and slip away from the scene. Luke, however, bounds him and leaves him in the trunk of a car until his plan is completed. Luke calls Tremello telling him he has his cash, but he wants to deal with Alex. They get connected, and Alex is surprised hearing from his former teammate after all this time, but is not pleased to learn that Luke has the cash. Turns out the disc contains money trails and information linking the Triads, Mafia, and high-level politicians, which Alex and Tremello were selling to the Chinese for the $30 million, and which the Mafia tried getting their hands on. Alex wonders why he's so interested. He gave up his CIA life out of guilt for his actions, but now that Luke has the cash, Alex has no need to deal with Quan, but they have someone Luke wants him to retrieve. Alex approaches Quan, who thinks they still have a deal, but in a flash, Alex eliminates everybody on scene, and Mei watches as he breaks Quan's neck. Tremello is in his office when Luke appears there demanding he hand over the disc. Tremello claims it's in a safe far away, but Luke suspects he keeps a copy close by, threatening to put a bullet in his head and escape the same way he got in. Tremello concedes, retrieves the disc, and confirms the data before Luke disappears. The next morning, Luke pulls up to the meeting spot where Alex is already there with Mei. The two finally reunite face to face. Alex can't understand why he would show up for Mei when he has both the disc and the money, but for Luke, Mei represents a second chance at life. Alex wants the cash, but Luke refuses to tell him where it is and taunts him to beat the information out of him.
Well, maybe I donated it to charity.
His goal is to get Mei out of harm's way, and Alex, itching for a fight, releases Mei and drops his weapon. He squares up, but in a twist, Mei shoots him in the leg before Luke finishes him off. Mei saw him fight under the bridge, and she knew Luke wouldn't have stood a chance. In the end, Luke leaves Wolf 50 grand and instructions to return Vasily to his father safely. Wolf can't understand, as Vasily killed his family, but Luke just wants to start a fresh life for Mei's sake, but he warns Vasily not to let them meet again. The remaining cash is returned to Han with a note from Mei. She knows every detail about his entire operation, so if he doesn't come after them, they won't come after him. Luke leaves copies of the disc all over the city as insurance that nobody will come after them. He would love to give Mei a good life, though he isn't dad material, but she just wants a friend, so Luke promises to always be there. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, go ahead and hit that like button, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe for more recaps just like this. And hey, don't click away just yet. YouTube thinks you'll love one of these 2 videos popping up right here, so check them out next.